Hi everyone, good morning. Welcome on into your Fast Track to 7 a.m. here on the Valley today. My name is Ashlyn Hill. We have new information this morning on a pedestrian vehicle crash that caused the eastbound lanes of 13th Avenue in Fargo to be reduced to just one lane yesterday. NDHP officials saying 31-year-old Andon Schaefer of Moorhead was eastbound on 13th Avenue approaching the I-29 underpass. That's when he struck an unidentified 41-year-old Fargo woman who was allegedly jaywalking across. The woman was transferred to Sanford in Fargo with serious life-threatening injuries. No one else was hurt. Schaefer remained on scene after the crash, and then he was arrested for an outstanding Cass County warrant for assault. NDHP says they are still investigating. One man is heard and under arrest for DUI after a motorcycle crash in Barnes County. An unidentified Valley City man was southbound on County Road 21, driving toward Valley City when NDHP says he lost control and ran off the road. They then say he was not wearing a helmet at the time, sustaining serious life-threatening injuries. He was flown to Sanford and Fargo for treatment, where he remains currently. He was arrested for DUI. North Dakota Highway Patrol says they are still investigating. And an 8-year-old child has now passed away after a dirt bike crash in rural Castleton. North Dakota Highway Patrol says the child was driving the dirt bike around a farm Saturday evening, and while turning into the yard, the child reportedly lost control of the dirt bike, hitting a piece of stationary farm equipment. The crash report says the child was not wearing a helmet at the time of that crash. Life-saving efforts were made by first responders at the scene before the child was airlifted to a Fargo hospital. The child passed away as a result of those injuries. A name will not be released. The crash is under investigation. A tragic ending to a missing persons story we first brought you back in March. Williston police sharing on social media they believe they found the body of Brianna Ward. Police say just before 2 p.m. yesterday they responded to a report of an unresponsive person believed to be dead. Officers confirming the person they found matches the description of Brianna Ward, who was first reported missing back in February, but they say positive ID has yet to be made. Williston PD says the circumstances around this individual's death is ongoing. The department is working to gather information and provide updates. Well, you could see it and smell it yesterday. Wildfire smoke rolling into our area, and we're still dealing with those effects throughout our day today. Wildfires prompting evacuation orders and alerts in Western Canada just days after officials warned of significant risk from the natural hazard this summer. A fire in Alberta has grown to almost 2,500 acres and is now listed as out of control. Here in the States, air quality alerts went out for the entire state of Minnesota. We know North Dakota under the same wave. Our region really struggling to make it out of the haze. In the meantime, though, we're sending things right on over to meteorologist Lisa Green for a look at what we can expect throughout our day and hopefully see some relief in our future. Hey there, Lisa. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, we are already seeing a little bit of relief. We're seeing some of that concentration of smoke come down a little bit, but it's still out there. And we still have air quality index values that are in the orange and red categories in spots, especially in the south, especially in the southeast in places like west central Minnesota. So taking a look at our near surface smoke forecast, today you can see Northern Valley may be a little bit better off, but we're still looking at that hanging around. The good news is, again, it's lower concentration in the blue and green categories. And by tomorrow morning, a little bit more of a break, but still in the region. And that does carry on into Tuesday as we see our next system move through. It's going to kind of reintroduce some of that smoke. So we're not going to be able to kick it out of here completely. We are seeing some improvements, but it's still a bit hazy out there in spots. I mentioned Northern Valley a little better off. These are our visibility reports. We're looking at some good reports coming in from the north. But if you're in the south and east, again, in Lakes Country, where we're in that red category, that unhealthy category for air quality, visibility is also down. Fergus Falls and Alexandria at 2.5 miles. Wadena is checking in at 4 miles for visibility. So this is the area of greatest concern right now this morning where we've got that smoke. Otherwise, it's clear. We've got that sunshine out there. You can see our satellite map showing fairly good conditions, just a few clouds drifting into the north. There's some rain north and west from there that we'll be watching for the day tomorrow. But But again, some hazy sunshine. You can see the impacts of the smoke on our view here. We're not seeing that blue sky. It's more milky with that sunshine here this morning in Fargo. We're at 43 degrees. Wind is out of the north at 9 miles per hour. And in Grand Forks, a little brighter there, a little more blue showing in the sky. That's where conditions aren't as concentrated for smoke, but it is colder in the Northern Valley. We're at 36 in Grand Forks. We do have that advisory for frost north of Grand Forks in the Northern Valley until 8 a.m. Wind is out of the north-northwest at 7. So taking a look at our planner today, temperatures will rise. We'll actually have a pretty decent day if we can avoid some of that smoke in areas. Temperatures heading into the 4 o'clock hour, getting into the upper 60s. By the time we get into this evening, around 4 or 5, in places in the south, we do have a chance of seeing some 70s here. For Fargo, high 72 degrees. Again, just keep in mind that it could be a bit smoky, and if you're sensitive, this is something to be watching for throughout the day. And then overnight into Tuesday, we'll start to bring back that chance for some rain, especially Tuesday night. And then that carries on into the forecast for the rest of the week. Off and on chances for some rain, maybe some thunder showers as well. So getting some moisture back in the valley after what was a dry weekend. It was a beautiful weekend until that smoke rolled in yesterday. Unfortunately, it's sticking around a little bit longer here to start the week.
Yeah, I feel like I can still feel it too. I really noticed it yesterday out and about, and I was like, oh, geez, Louise.
Yeah, it is still out there. You know, orange, red category, meaning again, where some of us are being impacted, especially those of us who are sensitive. So yeah, we're not done with it yet. It's still there. We can see it, and a lot of us can still feel it.
All right. Thank you for the heads up this morning, Lisa. Fargo police officer Zach Robinson in Washington, D.C. for National Police Week, where he was just given the Top Cop Award. He's now the first ever officer from North Dakota to receive this title. Robinson, the man who shot and killed Mohammed Bearcat during the July 14th Fargo officer-involved shooting, accepting his award, paying tribute to fellow fallen officer Jake Wallin. Top Cop organizers played each nominee's body cam footage and then allowed them to tell their stories from their perspective. Officers from 8 states received this award, and several others were recognized as honorable mentions. To see what Robinson said in full in his speech, head on over to valleynewslive.com and just click on this story. And we are continuing our coverage out in Washington, D.C. for National Police Week. Yesterday, thousands of law enforcement biking into the Capitol physically for the 2024 Police Unity Tour. Our very own Valley News teams Tatum Miller and Anna Ballweber tell us how these officers pedal to raise awareness.
Bagpipe bands, cheering loved ones, and thousands of bicycles can be found across Judiciary Square in Washington, D.C. Why? They're cheering on the officers who ride for those who died. This is the 2024 Police Unity Tour.
Who are you guys here for? Our dad.
Officer Livingston from the LA County Sheriff's Department is just one of the officers biking in, and some riders have been pedaling for 3 days now. Former police officer Dennis Jaron rode in from New Jersey.
Every minute of it, every blood, sweat, and tears that you put through, it's well worth it.
He's been doing the Police Unity Tour since 2016 and says he still gets emotional riding through the Law Enforcement Memorial.
We do it because we have heroes here that can't be forgotten, and we do it for the survivors also, so they know that we got their back forever.
The journey is long and challenging, especially for first-time riders.
I'm hurting, but it feels good.
But the riders say it's worth it to know their efforts raise awareness for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. In Washington, D.C., Tatum Miller for Valley News Live.
Wow, pretty incredible. So it began with just 18 officers in 1987, and it has now grown, as we just witnessed, to over 2,600 members who all bike to the National Law Enforcement Memorial annually. So this is all part of Valley News Live's special coverage of National Police Week, where we sent our team. That's where Officer Jake Wallin's name will be added to those among the National Memorial. Be sure to stay tuned here at Valley News Live for coverage from D.C. all week, including a special candlelight vigil happening tonight. We'll also be covering ceremonies and memorial services honoring fallen officers. We have their complete coverage on air, but if you miss out on one, we'll also have them posted to your VNL News app. You can download and use it for free. Just search VNL News in the App Store today. Months after it won a lawsuit over legislative boundaries, North Dakota is now asking the U.S. Supreme Court to revisit its victory, baffling others involved, they say, in the state's redistricting fights and prompting some legal experts to call the state's action a potential assault on the Voting Rights Act. So the issue is a ruling over a lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of a redistricting map that created House sub-districts encompassing 2 American Indian reservations. Proponents of the sub-districts say they gave tribal nations better chances to elect their own members. Last fall, a federal 3-judge panel tossed out the lawsuit at the request of the state and the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. The plaintiffs appealed, though. North Dakota Attorney General Drew Wrigley said, quote, "The 3-judge panel decided the matter correctly under existing case law, but for the wrong reason." Wrigley said, in part, "We're not seeking to reverse the panel's decision. We're seeking to have it upheld, but for the reason that race was not the predominant factor, and we think that we should prevail," end quote. Then, in a statement, MHA Nation Tribal Chairman Mark Fox calls it, quote, "extremely disappointing to see Wrigley's office now arguing for this winning judgment to be vacated and this matter sent back down for trial. We opposed this unconscionable change of position when the Attorney General raised it with us, and we oppose it now." Wrigley now says the Supreme Court will decide whether to have oral arguments and further briefing. And there is more to this story. We have all of the details posted to our VNL News app as well as valleynewslive.com. And a traffic alert this morning for drivers in the Northern Valley. Construction on Highway 220 north of East Grand Forks is beginning today. The Minnesota Department of Transportation says this is to reconstruct the highway to Concrete Road from Polk County Road 19 to 2022 and 23. Culvert replacements will also be done. Drivers will have to detour using 150th Street, Southwest, and County Road 66 and 23. This is slated to be done in mid-August. Well, the Today Show and CBS Mornings are just about to start, but the Valley Today rolls on with more live up-to-the-minute news and weather coming up right now on the Fargo CW with meteorologist Lisa Green and myself. If you're heading out the door, stay safe, take care. A beautiful start to our Monday morning on our week here on the Valley Today. Thanks so much for joining us.